Welcome back to the ETF Inspector. It's Thursday, August 14th, just before 9 o'clock at night, and this is our video covering YieldMax Income Strategy Funds, ULTY, the Ultra Option Income Strategy Fund, and LFGY, the Crypto Industry and Tech Portfolio Option Income Fund. I'm on X as well, at ETF_Inspector1. Growing in followers, getting close to 700. I post letting you know when videos are ready, as well as trades and announcements from some of these companies like Granite Shares, Roundhill, and YieldMax, with YieldMax being the biggest one. As far as the channel, we're up to 3,150 subscribers, so doing well. If you're not already, please click the subscribe button, and let's go ahead and just get right into our coverage for the day. So obviously it was an ugly day. Started red, I guess, based off of PPI report. I don't deal a whole lot with those kind of things, but I saw that before the market opened. Since I'm on vacation, I forgot to mention this is still vacation edition, so I'm going to go through things a little quicker than usual, not go into quite as many details. But anyway, things were looking rough. Some stocks recovered, others did not. So we'll go through. But ULTY stayed below $6, dropping at one point to a low of $5.87. So if you're one of those that's just wanting to buy down your average, then this was a good day for you. If you're the panic type, then it's probably scaring you. But I'm not in that panic camp. So we download the trades after hours. We got a good bit, line 246 through 353, so 107 trades from ULTY, and 384 through 470. So what's that, about 86 trades from LFGY. We'll start with ULTY and get right into it. So Affirm was the first one. We're in that point of the week now. Today was Dividend X date. It's Thursday, so tomorrow will be payday. So Thursday, we start to see a lot of things get closed out and rolled to the following week, and that's the case for Affirm. I'm not sure why. Whoa, we don't want that. Okay, anyway. Closing out those 77.50s, opening 78s for the following week, and it's actually costing us money. I think we're going to see a little bit of a strategy change. I was noticing this on some of these rolls where we only rolled the call up by 50 cents. We rolled the put up by $5. So it looks like they're getting defensive here as we're getting a little bit of downside, so we're buying the put a lot higher up than we were. So that's why a closeout and roll to the following week for a 50-cent increase is a win, right? Paying 50 cents to close, collecting almost $1.50, but we end up spending money on the trade because we spent so much money buying the put. At the same time, with everything starting to turn down, puts are going to get more expensive. So $312,000 debit on that trade. AppLovin, we were closing out for this week, rolling to next week again. Ballpark, same type of area, but let's see. Increasing our puts. As you can see, look how expensive these puts are. $542, almost as much as what we're receiving on some of these calls. But we still got a credit of $533,000. AST Space Mobile, closing out, paying anywhere 24 to 43 cents a share. Selling the new ones, collecting $1.20 to $1.70. That generally leads to a win, but once again, buying these puts costing a lot of money. So although we're selling for more than we're paying to close them, we're spending money on the new rolling position for next week. So that was a debit of $1 million. Webull, close out and roll to the following week, $123,000 credit. Coinbase, $232,000 credit from the close and roll. Again, look, so we're paying 94 cents to close out, selling for 526. That alone is almost a $2 million positive, yet we're spending $1.8 million on that put, that 305 put. So we increased our calls by $2.50. We increased our puts by $5. We got to collect a little bit on that, $232. Galaxy Digital down almost $900,000 as far as trading is concerned. Closing out 28.50s and 29s and selling 29s and 31s, increasing our puts as well. And that's how we resulted with that. Robinhood collected $300,000, closing for this week, rolling to next week. Again, spending a lot of money on puts. Mara up, collected $452,000, a credit of $452,000. Not getting a whole lot for it. Closing out for 14 cents, selling new for 29 cents. So it's only a 15 cent per share difference. And then we're spending 17 cents a share on these puts. But then we're talking about 50,000 contracts, 100 shares per contract. Turns into a lot of money. 452,000. MicroStrategy, we collected 125,000. The only thing we did was close out next week's 405 call and adjusted it down to a 390. Brought it closer to the money. Nebius, we collected 1.4 million. Closing for this week, rolling to next week, and again, one of our puts, the 61s got raised up to 64s, but then our 68s got lowered to 63s. So 1.4 million. Oklo collected 30,000. Closing for this week, rolling to next week, keeping all the same strikes. Palantir, we're closing out 187.50s and 192.50s, selling 187.50s and 190s. Brought our puts up though from 165s and 170s to 172.50s and 175s. Collected 145,000. So it seems like the name of the game is kind of protecting our downside going into the next week, kind of giving up some premium for it. Reddit closing out this week, rolling to next week as well. Had to increase it a lot there, so that's going to cost us 3.8, almost 3.9 million. Rigetti cost us 1.5 million on the close and roll. It was basically a break even closing for this week and selling to next week, but then we spent a good bit more on the puts, increasing them up by $1.50, just like we increased our calls by $1. Rocket Lab down 285,000. Shoo, that's crazy, right? Closing for 12 cents and selling to open for $1.02, and we got to collect money selling our put. Yet we're still spent more money buying the new puts than all of it. So $285,000 debit. SMCI, we spent $56,000 on the close and roll to next week. Actually dropped it $1 closer to the money and raised our puts by $250. So we're really shrinking that range, and it's costing us. SMR, we collected $5.8 million on this one. So this was, call it the home run of the day, right? Closing for 10 to 17 cents, selling to open for $1.19 and $1.13, and we didn't end up having to spend so much on the puts, not to mention we got to collect a nice amount on those $370 or $37 puts. No, that is, I don't know. I feel like this is the one I go back and check every video. SMR, 37. So that's what made the difference there, being able to cash out those for $2 a share, those puts. Tesla, believe it or not, we broke even. Closing out. Now, this was the odd strategy. So if you take a look, we closed out the August 22nd calls, and we closed out or sold our August 15th puts. Then we went ahead and sold August 22nd calls and bought August 22nd puts. So this was the one where I think somebody made an error, but I could be wrong. It might have been the strategy, and I'm not getting it. But All in all, it all broke even just to readjust our position for next week. Unity Software closed out of this week, rolled in next week, resulted in a $1.7 million debit. And Upstart, I feel like we've played Upstart a couple times this week. We have. So we closed it for a win and brought it closer. Dropped the strike price. Then the next day it blew through that, but they didn't adjust it. And then we've had, I think, 2 down days now, at least 1, if not 2. So now we're closing again. Good thing we did lower the strike and collect more premium. And now we've rolled to the following week. So we're done with this week. $1.5 million credit. All in all, that resulted in a just over $1 million surplus or credit on the options trading, profit and loss. And obviously, if you saw anything in the market today, you knew we were going to be down. So we'll take a look how. And again, I'm going to get through these a little faster. Also, every single one of these, you notice the orange. That means that a full position was closed and rolled. So that orange coincides with these, and we don't need to talk about any options that have orange next to them because they no longer exist, and they will be swapped out when we download the holdings tomorrow. So Affirm Holdings was down 0.89%, and all options got rolled. Applied Materials down 0.94%. They still have theirs in play, 6.25% out of the money, going to get closed and rolled tomorrow. AppLovin down 2.9%. Everything was closed and rolled to the next week. AST Space Mobile down over 3%. Everything closed and rolled. We like that. Bitmine Immersion down 1.9%. These have already been rolled to next week, so they're 15 and 24% out of the money. Webull up 2.9%. They went ahead and rolled these anyway. So apparently there was probably not a whole lot of time premium left or time value left. So they closed these out and rolled them. Or it's possible that they started down and then went back up. So we still have 1650s that are already rolled for next week that are 6.8% out of the money. If you're new here, ULTY trades a collar strategy where they sell calls out of the money they buy the shares for starters, then they sell calls out of the money to generate income. They buy puts out of the money, but still to protect the downside in the event we have days like today. So you're going to see a lot of puts became more valuable based on how the market moved today. It won't reflect here because this is based off of the downloaded holdings from before the market started. Coinbase down 0.65%. Positions have been rolled. CoreWeave, we don't have any shares. That's why there's no gray line here. But they closed under 100. They have been on a rough ride lately. I want to say they're down like $40 in a week. Yeah. Well, from their peak, they're down almost $50. So this one we jumped in, tried to make a quick play on them. They had got really beat up bad. We sold in the money puts and bought a little bit further out of the money puts, hoping that they would rebound. They did the opposite and tanked some more. Those sold puts are now 21% in the money, and we did not close them out. So I guess we're hoping for some movement tomorrow, or either way, it's a $5 spread. That's what we're going to end up paying to close it out. Galaxy Digital up 0.8%. All positions that were still left for this week have been rolled, and next week's 29s are 1.5% out of the money. Robinhood up 1.9%. Again, this week's positions have been rolled, and next week's 113s are still 2% out of the money. IonQ down 0.4%. We've already rolled these previously, so next week's 4350s and 44s are 6 and 7% out of the money. Mara Holdings down 0.69%. All positions have been rolled. Strategy now, not MicroStrategy. That's funny. So they've updated the official name, but then if you look at the title of their options, it still says MicroStrategy. Down 4.3%. The 405s that were further out of the money for next week, they went ahead and closed and rolled them to a closer strike. They've got 400s still in play that are 7% out of the money. Nebius Group down 3%. Everything left for this week's got rolled, and we've got 74s for next week, 8% out of the money. I should clarify, the 400s that were left for MicroStrategy had already been rolled to next week as well. Oklo, the big loser over here, down 4.8%, or $7.4 million of value. Positions that were left for this Friday got closed and rolled, and 76s and 77s for next week are 3 and 4.5% out of the money. Palo Alto Networks, this is a newer one, down 1.87%. Since we started these in the middle of this week, they started the position out for next week. So those 185s expire next Friday, 6.6% out of the money. Palantir Technology down 1.8%. All positions that were remaining for this Friday got rolled. And we've got 192.50s in play for next week, 6% out of the money. It's looking like we're leading to a Friday that's not full of all the rolls because so much is getting done already. So I like it. Reddit up 3.7%. Figures the one thing that the few that go up were already in the money and went further in the money. That hurts. But we went ahead and closed those out. Rolled them to next week. We already have 245s rolled to next week that are now 0.6% out of the money. That resulted in almost $4.9 million increase in value. Rigetti resulted in a $7.4 million increase in value. This was the big winner, 4.29%. These 1650s were already in the money and went further. They closed and rolled them. We now have 1850s in play for next week that are 2.89% out of the money. Rocket Lab down 0.4%. Closed out the last of what was left for this week. They've got 45s and 4550s rolled to next week already that are 5 and 6% out of the money. Super Microcomputer down 1.25%. Again, rolling what was left on this week. Next week's 48s are 5.5% out of the money. New Scale Power down 3.6%. Everything that was there got closed and rolled to next week. Target Corp down 1%. Another one that started this week and with a option strategy already set to next week. So that's 5.5% out of the money expiring next Friday. Tesla down 1.1%. This was that odd one that the calls were sold for next week and the puts were bought for this week. Down 1%. Let's see. I'm curious what we got for these. So when the day started, they were worth $1.70, or technically when yesterday ended, they were worth $1.70. And what did we sell our 330 puts for? Sold our 330 puts for $1.98. So it actually worked out. Sometimes we call that failed successfully. Unity Software up 1.27%. All positions, they were in the money. They got rolled to next week. And Upstart Holdings for the second time this week got closed and rolled, this time to the following week after today's 4.5% drop. So all of that combined for a almost $32 million decrease in value. Yesterday we had increase in shares, 24,300,000. So that brings us up. We're getting close to 550 million outstanding shares. Not sure if we will see from today panic selling because we're below 6, or a huge jump in buying from people wanting to get shares below $6. So we'll find out when we download tomorrow. Most recent distribution, 10.03 cents last week. Announced for this week that we'll be getting tomorrow, 10.06 cents. $3.2 billion assets under management. Next, we'll go to LFGY. Had less trades over here. So LFGY, sometimes they do small positions, like 9 contracts at a time. We're not really wasting time on things like that, but anytime we have a full position close and roll, I highlighted it so we can talk about it and identify it on the next page. So BitDeer, close and roll from this week to next week. It had to increase our strike and increased our puts. Cost us $58,000. These numbers are going to be a lot smaller because we just jumped to a $180 million fund as opposed to $3.2 billion. Clean Spark cost us 85, credit. We collected 85, almost 86,000 on the close and roll to next week. Closing 1050s and 11s, selling 10s. So we dropped our strike. We don't do protective puts over here. They talked about it, so I guess they have the ability to, but we're not seeing them being used yet. Coinbase close and roll to next week was a positive. We collected $193,000. Closing 350s, selling 330s. The protection that we do over here sometimes is we buy a further out of the money call, which prevents puts a cap on how much we could have to pay to close out a short position in the event that the stock runs past it. Core Scientific, we closed and rolled those 5,700 contracts, paying 3 cents to close them out, selling for 33 and 63 cents. So yeah, that's a shame. We got sold at the same expiration date, same strike price. On the small contracts, 55, we got 63 cents. On the large 5,700 contracts, we got 33. If that had been swapped, that would have been a major win. But we collected $111,000. Circle Internet Group, $99,000 collected, closing out for 10 cents, selling the new for 360-ish. Miniature Trades, Mara Holdings, close out and roll to next week, collecting $124,000. Mercado Libre, close out and roll of all positions, paying $317 to close them, selling the new for almost $18, $40,000 collected. Opera, close out and roll, resulted in a $13,000 credit. PayPal had a different strategy here. There's puts, but this is not protective puts because it was a credit put spread. So we had to buy the 68s and sell the 70s. Hang on, I might have that backwards. No, we bought the close. That's right. Bought the close, the 72s, sold the 70s. So that's that portion of it. Then we sold 70s and bought 68s as the new position. Everything was already next week. We just readjusted. So we lowered the strike on the PayPals. That resulted in a debit of $43,000, and finally XYZ was a credit of just about $130,000, closing out the calls for 10 cents, selling the new for $1.15, $1.22. Also getting a little put strategy in here. Let's see. Let's do. So we bought the close 975 and sold the calls. That's done with the 15th. Then we sold 77s and some more 77s. Then we bought 79s. That's the further out. That's the protection. Then we turned around and also sold 76s and bought 74s. Wow, we're really playing a tight window. So we're selling puts at $76 and we're selling calls at $77. So we need the price to stay between 76 and 77 next week for that to work out. Unless I'm understanding that wrong. But all of that trading, not just the ones I highlighted, but all the options trading resulted in a credit of $714,000 on the day. You can see our decrease in share value. We'll go through and see how that happened. Bitmine Immersion down 1.9%. Calls are already rolled to next week. They're 7.5% out of the money. BitDeer down 1.4%. The deeper in the money calls got closed and rolled. They've still got 1350s and 14s that are 2% in the money and 1.6% out of the money. CleanSpark down 0.2%. they went ahead and closed and rolled to the new week. Coinbase, same thing, closed and rolled the next week after a 0.6% decrease. Same with Core Scientific. Core Scientific and CoreWeave in the news together, both going down. Obviously, CoreWeave took the brunt of that hit, but Core Scientific was down 0.1%. I want to say they were worse and just recovered, but I could be wrong. Yeah. So at one point in the day, they were as low as 13.18, and then made back basically $1 before giving some back again. So, Circle Internet Group, the big loser over here today, down 9+%. Positions were closed and rolled to the following week. iShares Ethereum Trust, ETHA, down 4.25%. Calls for this week are still in play at 35. They're 1.8% out of the money. Galaxy Digital up 0.81%, 1.5% out of the money on the 29s that need to be closed tomorrow. GameStop down a little over 0.5%. They were in the money, so they just came back out of the money. So this is kind of a perfect landing place for them. 23s expire tomorrow, 0.5% out of the money. Robinhood up 1.92%. These have already been rolled to next week. 114s and 117s are roughly 3 and 5.6% out of the money. Hut 8 Corp, the big winner, up 6.4%. They got 22s and 23s next week, expiration date, that are 7.5 and 3.3% in the money. IBIT, no options, so just the shares. They went down over 4% today. That dropped our value by $820,000. Mara Holdings. Yeah, hold on just a second. I'm curious because they're one of our bigger holdings. So let's see what. Let's do just a quick math problem. Okay, so that drop in Mara or IBIT basically cost us 0.4%. So not that major. Mara Holdings down 0.69%. All positions were rolled. MBTX dropped to 279. That actually works well for this position because they don't own any shares, so we're fine with it dropping. It doesn't hurt us any. We've got a credit call spread, so we need it to end below 280. Now, other ones, they don't mind if it runs past the strike because it means our shares are increasing in value. Since we don't have shares, we just want the underlying to work best for our options. So under 280 works out good for this trade. It's out till 9/19 though, so we got time. And we've also got a 255 put purchased for the end of the year. So the closer it gets to that, the more value that will go up. That's already been adjusted. That used to be a 150 and a 230. So we've had to adjust that higher and kind of start over. Mercado Libre down 0.3%. All positions were rolled. Strategy down 4.3%. They already rolled these to next week, so they're 9.9% out of the money at 410. NU Holdings down 2.9%. 13s expiring tomorrow are 8.2% out of the money. Nvidia was up 0.25%. Their 185s expire tomorrow. They're 1.6% out of the money. Opera down 6.3%. They had 1750s for this week and next month. The ones for this week got closed and rolled today. Next month, 1750s are 13.6% out of the money. PayPal Holdings down 1.7%. All positions were rolled. This is the one that kind of different than the rest of the strategy. They had a credit put spread where they sold the 72s and bought the 70s. So everything's dropping, working out, except for PayPal. Although they dropped, they still ended in the money. Kind of curious why they chose to close these out in the money when they still had a week and a day to go. But I'm sure they've got their reasons, right? They're not trading based off of emotions. They're following a set of guidelines, which is the best way to trade. So that's why when people start making comments about they need to trade better, this and that, like, I mean, I hear you, but I trust them to hand them my money and let them trade with it. And if anybody thought they could do better, they could open their own fund, and I bet you people wouldn't hand you their money. So Riot Platforms up 5.69%. So having a good day in the middle of everybody else's crash. Their 12s went in the money by 2%. They did not close them out, so they'll be having to make a move tomorrow. And finally, Block down 1.1%. All positions were closed and rolled. So that's how we resulted in a $2.5 million decrease in value. The fund had just broke 190. Looks like we might be going back under again unless some people buy in. Nobody bought in yesterday, so we still have 5,250,000 shares. NAV and closing price are pretty close with each other. Most recent distribution, 43.66 cents. That was last Friday. I think we had the announcement yesterday of like 44.64, something in that ballpark. We've got it 44.84. I was close. All right, so quick recap. ULTY had a surplus in their trading side with a credit of $1 million, and their share values decreased by almost $32 million. LFGY, where'd it go? Had a trading surplus of $714,000 and a share value decrease of $2.5 million. Both funds decreased on the day, and both funds will be paying us tomorrow. Now, we also dropped because of it being X day, but that doesn't count as a loss. So we dropped besides that. All right, I got a dad joke of the day for you, and then that's it. So just want to thank everybody. Sorry, videos haven't been, as timely as normal with on vacation. We were out playing pickleball today till dark. So met up with some friends and didn't want to stop having fun. So got a little late start on the video, but at least it's not like that midnight one from the other night. So, all right, dad joke of the day. I accidentally rubbed ketchup in my eyes. Now I have hindsight. Heinz. What's that brand? Heinz. I thought it was like Heinz something, but it's just Heinz maybe. All right. Good luck trading tomorrow. I'll catch you in the Friday video. Have a good night.